Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today for today's Freeform Dreadlocks talk. Today's subject I want to talk about is minors and dreadlocks and them living in a household with parents that may not be accepting of their dreadlocks. It's a very touching subject because I think that at a certain age you start to get to where you can decide and make your own decisions for yourself and how you want to look and present yourself to the world. A lot of it is, I've gotten a few comments about teenagers who live in a household where neither one of their parents thinks it is acceptable for them to get dreadlocks. I've never been in that situation before because when I was a teenager I didn't have dreadlocks and I was busy trying to conform and wearing all the latest hairstyles, being as trying to fit into what I thought was cool and acceptable so I didn't stand out of the crowd. Maybe if you had a dialogue with either one of your parents or both of them, just the three of you, just talking together and tell them why you want dreadlocks. If you're wanting them freeform dreadlocks, not because it's a style or it's just a fashion or a trend, but because innately you feel like this is what you want your hair to do. It could be like a part of your journey that you're trying to become more healthy and you don't want to do unnatural things to yourself, including your hair. Older generations, it's hard for them to understand, some of them, to understand that I don't know, some of them, not all of them, that's like a stereotype. But there's a generation where they have a certain idea of what beauty looks like and how you should present yourself to the world. And that's just how their opinion is. But if you come to them with compassion and say, this is how I feel, and this is, doing all these other things to my hair is not natural. So, that's the only thing you can do. You can just talk to them and tell them about that and your reasonings why, and also that you're not harming anybody, you're not harming yourself. You're like actually making yourself healthy and you're doing good things for yourself. You could even ask them, isn't this good? Isn't this a good thing to do something healthy for myself instead of detrimental and putting chemicals on my head and like hairspray, hair gel, all this stuff, just to attain, a societal vision of perfection. Is it really worth it? If you present, how you feel and why you're doing this straight from the heart, then I'm not saying what the outcome is going to be, but that's the way you can approach it. You can talk to them that way. I don't think it's right that you can't have a decision in how you want to look and the choices you want to make that are going to be healthy for you. There's a lot of people or parents that worry about children being, discriminated against or judged based on their appearance. I think that is an unfounded assumption because I felt like that too when I wanted to make changes, not even just outer changes, but in internal changes. You're going to be faced with all kinds of opposition when you want to do something that's positive for yourself from people that aren't in a positive space for whatever reason. So, yeah, my heart goes out to you. Really does. It's not easy to live under a household where if you don't feel like you have much control of what you can do and how you can express yourself and just be you. That's the best thing you can do, is just talk to them, approach them, and tell them this is what I want to do. It's not like a defiant decision. It's a decision based on health, not based on the latest trend or the latest style. My opinion about this, my son has dreadlocks. He's had dreadlocks for probably over 7 years now. And there was just a point where he decided he didn't, and this is when he was younger, he was like 7, or 6, I think 7 more accurately, that he didn't want me to comb his hair anymore. And now he's mixed, so he has curly hair. So I said, okay, then you can just let it dreadlock. And I told him you can just let it lock. I told him all the different methods that are out there, and he just wanted to go a natural way. He just wanted freeform, and that's what he did. And it hasn't affected him in any way. A lot of people give him compliments on the way his dreadlocks look, and he carries himself in such a way where, you know, this is how he wants to be and express himself as him, you know, his natural self. So yeah, that's all I can say about that. I never had that kind of a problem. You know, I was the kind of teen that was always trying to fit in to a certain degree. Towards the end of my teen years, I started to analyze that reasoning, why I was doing that. And, you know, I realized that I felt like I was so different that I had to find a way to hide so not all the attention is brought on me, negative attention. But here's the thing, is like you just got to be who you are intuitively, intrinsically, who you were born to be. You know, when you came out of the womb, you were a certain person, a certain personality. Not everybody is going to want freeform dreadlocks. Not everybody's going to want salon dreadlocks. Not everybody's going to want synthetic dreadlocks. It's all a choice, and I think that choices should be there for people to make if they want to, and them to not be judged for decisions they make, especially if it's not harming anybody, you know, and they're learning about themselves and growing, and that's a beautiful thing. It is, it's a beautiful thing. My heart really goes out to the younger people, because they just want to express themselves, and a lot of times they can get judged for doing that, and I don't think that's a positive thing, because what ends up happening if you get judged early on in life, then you realize, oh, I just have to conform and just be like everyone else, even if that makes me uncomfortable. And I don't think that's right. I don't think that's how we're supposed to live. You know, we're not supposed to be like looking all the same. We're being the same person. That's why each of us came down here, and we're each individuals, you know, with our own personalities, our own ways of expressing ourselves, the way we dress, the way we talk, our body language, whatever, etc. So yeah, just approach your parents with an open mind and an open heart, and maybe even look at their perspective, where they're coming from. A lot of it can be a generational thing. I mean, when I was growing up, it was just the opposite. My mom, she warned me about putting chemicals in my hair, and the only thing she wanted me to do, I mean, if I was able to like straighten my hair or whatever, she would use like the pressing comb, the old school like hot comb with the metal, you know, teeth on it, and she'd put it on the fire on the stove and heat it up, and that was only for special occasions like picture day. And even then, by the time I get to picture day, my hair is like not completely straight anymore. So yeah, I was one of those children and teenagers that wanted to fit in. So did everything I could to fit in and follow the latest trend. Oh, Jerry curls in style, I want to get that. So I kept bugging my mom about that. But my mom said, no, don't do that. You know, she said, I got a perm in my hair a long time ago when I was younger, and it fried my hair, and it was never the same. And she would wear her hair natural, and she would either have it out loose in an afro if she was going out somewhere or whatever, wanted to look, you know, less than casual. But then if she was like just running errands and doing things around the house, she would like, you know, braid her hair in like these little, I don't know if you call them spider braids, whatever, but just braids all over her hair just to keep her hair out of the way and healthy. So that was a good, you know, memory of my mom. My mom's no longer here on earth right now. She passed away. But those are the memories I remember about her trying to tell me to be proud of my hair. It was kind of a hard thing because I had like media, I'd watch television, I'd watch these commercials where it'd show, do you want your hair to be silky smooth? And, you know, they weren't ever showing anybody with hair like mine. So I felt like this was hair that needed to be tamed. This was hair that I needed to do some kind of processing to, so I can alter it, so I can fit in with, you know, everyone else. But what I noticed is eventually that stuff runs out. So my point I was getting at is that, excuse me, that you just have to come to them, approach them with an open heart and an open mind, and tell them why you're doing this. Because sometimes they just don't understand. They just don't. They don't understand. It's hard for them to perceive things that way when they have been, I don't get it, conditioned to fit into society as well. And then they look at you and they don't want you to be an outcast. But there's nothing wrong with being, you know, your own individual self and expressing yourself the way that you want to, as long as you're not hurting anyone or yourself. So I hope that helps and inspires anybody and gives them a little bit of confidence and realize that we should be free to make our own decisions. You know, we should be free. You're not hurting anybody at all, you know. The only thing it is it almost seems like parents that are upset when their child decides to let their hair dread, whether it's freeform dreadlocks or any other dreadlocks, when they decide to change or alter their appearance just because they want to express themselves, who they are, they start to get scared. But look, your child is not going to be like you completely at all. They may have come out of your womb, you know, but they're not going to be like you because they're their own individual self. They've got their own soul and their own path. So I hope this helps adults and parents out there too that have you know, son or daughter who wants to have dreads because they just see the health benefits in it, and they see that they're tired of, you know, ruining their hair. And yeah, it's just, we need to come together and talk about things instead of just like flying off the handle and overreacting.